drop that down. Yeah, I rearranged my office and things, so I just had to move everything, and I'm not pleased with how any of this is laid out. Yeah, I guess that's okay.
Delay. Okay. I guess that looks okay. Seems weirdly dark in here this week. Okay, we are live.
Live?
Am I particularly quiet or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I'm still hearing a lot of background noise, but I don't know if anybody else is.
Nah. It's really... Yeah, a little bit. Who is it?
Well, that might be me. That's what I was asking before. Hold
Oh, yeah. It's you.
It's you.
Yup.
It's you. Yup.
Everybody blame Ryan.
Oh, it's all your fucking fault.
That's why I was asking.
I'm sorry. Wait,
It
You should have asked better.
More? Okay.
you should have asked better.
It should be less noisy now.
That's fantastic.
Okay, well, let's do this thing.
So I got one of those half-priced official flex cover things for the Nexus 9. I had no idea that this thing was just literally a fucking piece you put on the front.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised when I got that too, but I actually kind of like it. It's grown on me.
It's
Right.
I don't have one. I have a
don't know
cheap
if it's going
case
to.
from.
I figured it was going to attach somehow other than the magnets to the screen. Like, I figured there was some other mechanism, even if it was just a hinge. But no.
So wait, it literally just sticks to the front, and then when you don't want it on there,
Here it
you.
is. Okay, so
Hey.
I'll take the mystery away from it.
This
Here it
is
is
all that it is.
on. Here it is off. All you do is you literally fucking put it on, and there it is.
No, you can just like flip it around to the back.
Yeah, if you do it carefully.
I mean, it stays on like really well. Mine does at least.
And is it also a stand?
Yeah,
Does it work?
pretty well. Yeah.
I kind of like that actually. I kind of
Here,
want
this-
one
it's,
now.
It's
It's
in
like
stand
the
mode.
Kindle Fire case
Oh
thing.
yeah, I kind of like that. And maybe I'll get one of those. I just have a cheap ass case from Amazon, and I'm surprisingly okay with what it is and what it do. So.
With
Well,
what
that's
it
what
do.
this has. That's what this
What it
is.
do,
Is a cheap ass case from Amazon. And
I hate cases that make tablets feel bigger. Like, I usually get cases for tablets just to like carry them around, but I'd hate things that are attached usually.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I thought my Nexus 9 was in the other room, but actually no, it's in my backpack. It's right here. So yeah, I got this cheap ass red one. It's red, and it's also red there. And as if you couldn't figure it out, that's the only reason I bought it. It's because it's red. It doesn't actually add that much bulk to the tablet, and it feels really nice because it's red silicone. So. And red things feel better, first off, than things that aren't red. So there's that. And it's also silicone, like I said. So
I think
makes
that
it feel better.
I think that might not be true. I think that might be psychosomatic.
I think you're wrong, and that's okay. It's okay to be wrong.
Fight, 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 fight.
I like red. Most of the time, if I can buy something, if it comes in red, actually looking around at my desk, holy shit, I really do like red.
It's all that subliminal Bulls messaging.
You know, I've often wondered, so I've been a Bulls fan since I was, oh god, I don't know, 9 or something, and I've often wondered if which way it goes. Like, red, white, and black are my favorite colors. They have always been my favorite colors as long as I can remember. So I wonder if like, since I was so young when I started liking the Bulls, if literally those are my favorite colors because of the Bulls, or if the Bulls are my favorite team because of those colors.
Okay, so I have a voltmeter here.
It's
It
red
has-
and black. Yeah.
It has two parts that are one red, one black. They are exactly the same part. I'm going to drop them on my lap, close my eyes, try to find them. This is very scientific.
The red one, you'll be able to tell. It feels better.
Yeah, they feel exactly the same, and you're full of shit.
But except for the red one, it feels. I have a more sensitive touch than you do.
Oh, is that how that works?
Oh boy.
No, you know what? Cam has synesthesia. He can feel colors.
I can feel colors. I can.
Do you also see music?
I do see music.
I feel
And-
purple. Oh, so purple.
Yeah, yeah. One day I drank too much Mountain Dew, and I could definitely feel colors. I was like, oh my god.
Okay, are we ready to start here?
Oh,
I think we are.
I thought we were just going to talk about red.
This
Not
is the
today.
Red Police podcast.
I feel like we should talk about red more often. I have a red
Oh,
mouse.
God.
We can talk about Pantone.
There's my red mouse. I have that. I don't ever use it, but it's there.
I don't use it. It just makes me feel better.
It does. It does make me feel bad. I got this new touchpad thing. I got this, this Logitech, this thing here. I've been using it for the past since yesterday, and I'm getting used to it. It's kind of strange though. It's still kind of weird. So I have that there just in case, like I can't handle it.
I have a red phone. That's it.
Oh, I'm jealous. I wish I had a red phone. I have a red cup.
Somebody random messaged me on Hangouts. I bet it's a OnePlus fan wanting to sort of play more with me.
I really hope that it is, and you take screenshots of the entire.
Oh no, somebody congratulating me. The person congratulating me is a brand ambassador for Oppo.
What?
Congratulating.
Can't make that one up.
I'm very.
I'm going to guess former brand ambassador for Oppo.
I mean, maybe there's secretly a lot of animosity there.
I would not be surprised considering OnePlus basically stole their phone last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yes.
You sound as lovely as ever.
Well, for some reason, my mouse just decided to completely F up, and I wasn't
camera's
sure.
gone.
Your camera is gone.
Look on the top of your computer. Is the camera still there, or is it gone? He's not answering. Maybe his
He's not.
mic is gone now too.
So
The whole
experiencing
computer
a cascading hardware failure.
The entire computer is now
It's
gone.
just USB.
It has
All
vanished.
of his USB
away.
devices are now. Oh, they're back. Look. Oh my God. Zombie USB. It's back from the dead.
The mic isn't back though. The mic is still zombie mic.
Mic check. Oh, I have this red speaker.
Yep, can't hear you. You are mute.
Red.
Nope. Oh, there you are.
Wait.
How about now? We're good?
Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, if everything's working, we should start the show before everything breaks again.
Okay,
Go,
hold
go,
on
go.
1 second. I'm breaking everything first. Getting all the brokens out of the way first.
Everything.
But if. Okay. Well, I have a story.
I am shutting down the program that allows me to play the sounder through the Hangout because David doesn't like it. So
That's fine.
It sounds really bad, and it's hard to get rid of if you talk over the intro. So then it's.
well, whatever, David. We all hate you too. So just saying.
I don't
know.
hate you. You my bae.
Totes.
Totes. But here's the thing: if I don't have the sounder, I can't come in with gusto.
Yeah.
The
Well,
gusto. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make for a really awkward time, and I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna listen to it, and you guys aren't gonna be able to hear it.
I'm fine with that personally. I find it hilarious.
No, that
It
that
is.
works.
It is gonna be awkward for everyone but me. It's gonna be
That's
awesome.
fine. That's cool. All right, go.
All right.
for
So
it.
do you want to start off with the drop, David?
Sure.
And
This
then we'll
week's
commence the
or
awkward
never
time?
mind. Okay, you can just. God, I was trying the drop, Matt.
We don't probably need to wait through a theme song amount of time though, right? You can just slice it and put in the theme song.
Nope, we have to wait because Matt is going to be actually listening
He's
to
gonna
the
actually. We're doing it live.
That's right.
So we will actually have to be quiet. We should probably stop talking.
Okay. This week's Android Police podcast is brought to you by Simple, a better way to do online banking. You can check them out at simple.com/AndroidPolice to help support the show.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, July 30th, 2015. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Ruddick.
I'm Cameron Summerson.
I'm Ryan Whitlam.
And that's all. That's everybody. I got to get used to this. I got to get used to this number of intros because I keep waiting for somebody else. And
Well, sometimes we have an extra person.
Yeah, we could have,
sometimes.
Cody says he'll come on at some point. Talk teardowns with Cody.
He's been on once,
Has he?
a month or two ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One of those
I wasn't there for any of them, I guess.
That's because I think it was one of the weeks we were traveling.
I just want to point out that David has like fucking 35 phones on.
You see nothing. There's nothing there.
Like
Yeah,
there's
every
a lot
week.
of phones.
Every week there are more phones on that
They're gone.
table.
Well,
Although I
some
can
of them are
tell,
gone.
I can tell one of them's a G Flex 2 because it's like stupid looking back there. Like, what is even like what is
That
what is it?
stupid looking phone back there. It's got to be a G Flex 2.
I'm basically convinced that David changes phones. Like I get up every morning and put on a different shirt. David gets up every morning and picks a different phone.
I've been, brutally slogging my way through MPreview 2 on the Nexus 6, but I think I'm going to switch here in the next couple days. It just can't handle it anymore.
I feel like we could have a chat room game where people try to identify the phones on your table.
Well, I'm sure we probably could. I actually do switch phones like almost every day. I don't even know. I don't know what's the matter with me. I can't use the phone for more than a day or two without getting kind of bored with it now.
See, I'm the opposite. I get so frustrated having to switch phones now. I used to switch phones a lot, but I get really frustrated. I just want one phone. I just want it to work, and now that's what I want.
Well, Google should definitely cater to us journalists who switch between a dozen phones in a given month and make it easier for us to do that. We're clearly a major market demographic.
Yeah, and also get rid of that stupid device limit on play music. Damn it.
The camera was stuck on me. I keep doing that.
Oh, you've got the cameraman. Yeah. The cameraman can. The cameraman can because he mixes it with love and makes the world taste good. Oh no, that's the Candy Man. I apologize. That's the Candy Man. Hey, you guys want to talk about Android?
Yeah, well, we got some new phones this week, guys. Some phones that were announced. Some phones that may be, I don't know, future enemies or current enemies. I don't judge.
OnePlus actually gave us a breakup call today.
At least they called. I mean, they could have sent a breakup text or something. So it was nice of them to actually, use words on the phone.
It's true, I guess.
Do you want to talk about why, just so people aren't confused?
We wrote something. You can go read it. I don't know why rehashing an editorial on a podcast makes too much sense, but you could go read it.
What would have been, I think, most ideal is if they would have sent you a breakout message embedded in an NFC tag.
Burn.
And of course,
this breakup message to you.
Of course, that is a reference to the lack of NFC on the OnePlus 2, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous to the point that we were all pretty sure that was just a typo on the spec sheet when they announced the phone. So we actually had to email them to make sure that there's really no NFC on their phone, and there isn't.
I feel like it's more appropriate with this phone for us to talk about what it doesn't have before we actually talk about what it does.
It does not have. It does not have an attractive design.
It does not have NFC. It does not have quick charge. And it does not have wireless charging. Oh, and it does not have an attractive design, like Ryan already said.
Yeah, it does. It does, however, have a capacitive home button with a fingerprint sensor in it. If that's a thing that you're into for some reason.
Yeah, it's not such a graceful design there. Also, the capacitive keys are completely invisible. You just can't see them.
Yeah, and they're just
maybe.
They're lines, which makes sense if you want to switch them to be other things. But how many people really do that? So now you're just if you want them in the normal order, you don't have any sort of visual cue about which button is which. It's just there's the left one and the right one.
Well, if you want them in the normal order, it's obviously because you're doing it off of muscle memory anyways, right?
Yeah, but maybe. But
I like having the icons though. It reinforces what my brain is.
I like the icons too. I like minimal things most of the time, but there's a point where it's too minimalist.
But you can disable those anyways. Can't you just go with on-screen buttons if you want to?
Yeah, but then you have a physical home button at the bottom of the screen anyway.
That's just a fingerprint scanner.
But it's you can have them both enabled though, can't you? They'll let you leave the.
Yes, you can leave the home button on, but not the capacitive keys next to it.
I mean, that strikes me as very strange. I mean, the phone obviously has a very strong Samsung vibe because of the oval shaped outline of the sensor there, even though it's not like a physical clicking button. That just seems like a bad place to put a fingerprint sensor if you're not tied to the design language that Samsung is. Like, obviously, a Samsung phone has that physical home button. They all have that. But for OnePlus just to like adopt a fingerprint sensor and say, I know, let's put it right here where Samsung puts the sensor, is not a good idea because that's just not a comfortable place to have the sensor. Like, you just put it on the back where people like hold the phone.
That's where they make sense. A fingerprint sensor makes sense on the back of the phone because I mean, when you pick your phone up, where's your finger? It's on the back. It's like right there. So you just boom, done, easy. But no,
it makes more sense to me as well. Although I will say, it actually would be optimal if you had like the buttons on the back of the G4 and the fingerprint scanner was embedded in the power button on the back there.
Yeah,
that would be the best of all worlds.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, but so other than the kind of ridiculous fingerprint sensor, Snapdragon 810, which they claim will not overheat, but I think they're lying. And then there are two versions. There's 16 gigs with 3 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs with 4 gigs of RAM. The 64 gig 4 gig version is going to be out first for $389. And then the other one will come later for $329.
I'll give them credit. That's a decent price. It's so stupid that they couldn't include at least NFC and quick charging or NFC and wireless charging. I don't know why you can't just put all 3 of them in there. I mean, quick charge should have been nothing. I mean, that's a Qualcomm thing to begin with.
I know, and they're so buddy-buddy with Qualcomm. It just strikes me as very odd that Qualcomm would let them do the Snapdragon 810 thing and really promote that, and then not do quick charging.
Yeah, it's hard to say what the reasoning was there. I think it had something to do with the Type-C connector. If I were to venture,
you know what?
yeah.
But it's still USB 2. It's just a Type-C.
Yeah,
interface.
Exactly. That's what I read from somebody else too. All the changes that happen for Type-C, if you're just using USB 2.0, they happen on the connector and the plug. As far as the system's concerned, it's exactly the same as a standard micro USB.
It should be electrically compatible with.
It's possible there's some kind of issue with, I don't know, maybe there's an issue with how the PMIC is wired to a USB-C or something, and you need to order a custom wiring implementation. I don't know. It doesn't exist yet. Either way, it was probably cost.
I feel like maybe this might have even just been an accident. Like they didn't realize until too late in the engineering process that they wouldn't be able to support quick charge.
Which is
it's such a weird omission.
It's extra funny because they're owned by people who own Oppo, and Oppo has its own quick charging technology called VOC, and it's actually faster than, I don't know if it's fast as the 25 watt Motorola one now, but it's faster than 15 watt quick charge 2.0. So it seems odd to me that they couldn't pull anything together on that front.
It's ridiculous. I mean, they're just
and then they did go to the time and trouble of making the little connector thing on the back covers that can adjust your theme when you attach them, which seems weird.
Yeah, it seemed like an odd investment to make. I mean, the idea, I don't have any problem with the idea, but the notion that this should be something you're prioritizing seems a bit strange.
I mean, an NFC tag can't cost any money. It's just a tiny metal coil that you slap in the phone. If you're building the phone, you can wire that into the battery. I don't see how that really adds anything to the cost of the device.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like they, there was one person actually comment saying, they got surveys from OnePlus asking if they used NFC, and the reason they got rid of it, they said, is because people weren't using it. And I'm guessing all the survey responses that people didn't use it. And I believe that, but at the same time, it's such a trivial thing to keep, and for the people who do use it, they're going to be upset if you get rid of it. To an extent, you're going to be like, oh wow, I'm not going to buy this phone now.
Do you think they're really surprised at the backlash they're getting about the NFC? I think all the comments I have been seeing are pretty negative.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's coming. There are some, apologists coming out to say that, well, nobody uses it, so it's no big deal. But it definitely has hurt them more than it has helped them.
Yeah, and then and no quick charge and no wireless charging. And I think people were probably not expecting wireless charging because the last one didn't have it, and that's still something that a lot of phones don't come with.
Yeah.
But it's just everything together. It's just sort of they're just
stupid. It's just sort of stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you can buy a Moto G, and it doesn't have NFC, but that's a $200 or less phone, or like around $200, and they want almost $400 for the OnePlus 2.
But
At that point,
$100 Zen phone has NFC, or a $200 Zen phone has NFC.
that's fair.
I mean, it can be made to work. It can be done. A $200 Zen phone has quick charging. It has NFC. Yeah.
I feel like there are companies who get it or that get it, and what people want, and I really feel like Asus is one of them. As far as being able to put features like quick charge and NFC into an affordable phone.
Asus understands hardware. Software less so.
I don't think that I can forgive them for putting hardware buttons on that phone that are not backlit, though. That is a very
that's a major bummer. I'm guessing you would have just added to the bill of materials just enough for them to be like, nope, not worth it.
It strikes me
they did skip some weird things, not things that are like make the phone terrible, but things that are like, oh well, that's a bit odd, like the way the power button is embedded into the removable case. Like, oh well, that's obviously a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a cheap phone. I mean, it tops out at $300. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's not even where the OnePlus 2 starts.
How much is we're talking? So let's talk about a phone let's segue. Let's talk about a phone that is going to compete with the 64 gigabyte OnePlus, which would be the Moto X Style, which starts at $399.
Yes, it is $10 more. But I think that is for 16 gigabyte. But it has an SD card slot this year, doesn't it?
It does.
So yeah, I mean that kind of. I mean, I think
I would
16
still go
gigs,
for at least a 32.
I mean, I think 16 gigs of system storage and an SD card slot is okay. Like, because a lot of people that need all that storage, they want it because they carry a lot of media around, and you can do that on a micro SD card well enough.
Yeah, and the other thing about the Moto X Style to me is if I want a phone that I know is going to be usable, I mean, if I had to commit to a phone for 2 years, my God, would I ever not buy a OnePlus phone? Because I'm essentially asking if something goes wrong to be the mercy of a company that probably isn't able to help me that much. Whereas with Motorola, I mean, they get a bad rap for customer support sometimes, but if your phone breaks, they're usually pretty good about swapping it out and getting you a new one.
Yeah, I mean, the horror stories I've heard about OnePlus customer service are considerably worse than the Motorola customer service stories, although I've had my issues with Motorola personally.
Yeah, although the nice thing with Motorola too is you do get software and firmware that has been extensively tested and is not developed by a group of people who were ROM builders on XDA, which nothing against ROM builders, but as far as like retail software goes, I'd be a little bit not excited about trying.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I like however good Oxygen OS is or is not on the OnePlus 2, like it's not going to be able to touch Motorola software. Like Motorola makes just such fantastic software for Android. Moto Display is one of the best. It's one of the best things.
It's just so minimal. I mean, it's stock Android with a few really useful things tacked onto it, and not a whole lot of bloat, not a whole lot of bullshit.
Like we were talking about companies that just get it. I really feel like Motorola gets software because they've done things to Android that are genuinely useful, and they have not arbitrarily added a bunch of junk. It's like Moto Display is so good, and Moto Voice is pretty cool. I don't use it as much now that OK Google is a thing, but I mean, it's just a lot of really great stuff.
The other thing with Moto, I think, too, is you're seeing, they're making cumulative advances in different areas. So their software has gotten leaps and bounds better. Their camera is about to get leaps and bounds better. Their displays have gotten leaps and bounds better. They're always improved. The speakers have gotten leaps and bounds better. Motorola is improving with every single generation. They're keeping almost all of those improvements and building them into each successive phone.
Yeah. Okay. We should probably explain a little bit about what the new Moto X we're talking about. But okay, so it's a little bit bigger this year. 5.7-inch screen. It's a 2K display, but it's LCD instead of AMOLED, which I assume was done because of cost. Because they're launching
maybe
the phone.
Supply availability too, or maybe after all the issues with Nexus 6's Super AMOLED, that's 2K. They went, nope, not worth it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it might be, cost and availability. Just, they would have to pay too much to get enough of them in supply. But I mean, it is launching at, $400, which is, I think, $150 less than last year's Moto X launched. So yeah, it's got bigger, higher resolution screen. It's a Snapdragon 808 instead of the A10.
Yes.
So it's it's like the G4, so it should be not as warm, and I think Motorola's software will be more kind to that chip's sort of modest power.
Hopefully. I mean, but going between the 808 and 810, the only time you notice a performance difference is occasionally with multitasking, and that's only if the phone's been being used a lot, and the 808 will slow down some more there. But for single task performance, they're basically comparable because they use the same chipset, or same cores. The 808 obviously just has 2 fewer of the high-speed cores. But for single thread stuff, you really only need the 1 core to go fast, and if it goes just as fast as the 810s, then it's going to feel roughly the same for a lot of the stuff you're going to do.
So they're going direct to consumers with this device. They said they're going to make a version of it that's compatible with all the major U.S. carriers, and I don't think any of them are selling it directly, right?
No, it doesn't sound like it. Yeah, that's strange. I mean, I guess they didn't really have anybody on the Moto X at this point. Well, they have Verizon and AT&T last year.
Verizon did last year, yeah. And Verizon sort of prefers, I think, to push the Droid stuff.
Yeah, it sounded like I'd heard earlier too that Verizon would not get the new Moto X, and I mean, weren't they kind of didn't they kind of half-ass it with the last one too? In some respect, I feel like it took forever for them to do something.
It takes them forever to do everything.
I think it got updates pretty quickly,
okay,
or moderately quickly, or maybe one of them was really delayed. I don't know, but I mean, yeah, it was only 2 carriers that were selling it last year. I think Motorola is probably in a better place to do this than most companies because they do have a financing plan that you can get direct.
I mean, they're essentially cutting out the middleman, and they've got enough brand recognition in America, at least, and in India and Brazil, they do pretty well too. I think it's a pretty viable model for them. I don't know how much. I'm guessing they don't have any consumer credit options in India and Brazil for these phones, but in the U.S. at least.
Well, I mean, in India and Brazil, I think the Moto G is a much bigger deal than the Moto X.
Yeah.
Just because it is a pretty great deal for what it is, and there's a new Moto G. Coincidentally, yeah, they announced that at the same time.
It wasn't like they had a big event or anything.
Yeah, no, it certainly wasn't like that. But I mean, the new Moto G actually, I think it's available like now. You can order it, and they'll ship it in a couple days. But it's a lot like the last Moto G, except this one has LTE out of the gate, and last year's Moto G never got it.
And it's still using a Snapdragon 410, isn't it? It's
it is, yeah. They've been, that's been in a lot of budget phones for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I feel like it's getting a little old. It's a pretty slow chip.
It can handle Lollipop well enough. I don't know how Android M is going to fare.
I feel like for $200, I was reading, I think Pocket Now did a post about, well, is the new Moto G actually that exciting in light of the $200 to $250 phones that are now out there? And I think the Moto G's lost some of that luster. Other manufacturers have quickly realized that this is a price sweet spot and that you can use some good stuff.
A lot of those phones are running Snapdragon 615s, which are not really much better, frankly.
Yeah, no, the Snapdragon 615 gets a marginally better GPU, and obviously it has 8 cores instead of 4, but whether those 8 cores actually make a real difference is much harder to say,
I mean,
and I don't think they really do.
It comes down to software optimization, and Motorola is good at that, and a lot of other companies are not so good at that.
Yeah. I don't know. The 410 is pretty old. The 615 is pretty bad, too. I actually don't like the 615 very much at all because of the GPU can give you a lot of grief with graphically intensive apps, especially if you're trying to multitask.
I think the bigger deal with the G is 2 gigabytes of RAM now.
Oh yeah. It also
that'll make a big difference. I'm sure.
That's a big difference. The 2 gigabytes of RAM. It also has a 13 megapixel camera now. So I mean, it's.
So the new Moto X is 21 megapixels, and supposedly it's going to be very good. I mean, some of the early previews that Motorola let some sites do, they claim that it's almost as good as the Galaxy S6, which that would be a really substantial improvement.
We'll see. I mean, what is it, the XO Mark that did the review, and I mean, they're very well respected, and I'd trust them on that kind of basic evaluation. Now, as far as like ranking against other phones, it's that's always going to be kind of subjective, but if they seem impressed, I would trust that instinct from them.
Yeah, so it would be interesting if the Moto G has a similarly good image processing system even though it's a lower resolution.
Yeah, maybe hopefully some of it, a good chunk of it's on the software side, so that they'll be able to make some.
I mean, I feel like it would have to be because I mean, last year's Moto X had a good sensor. I mean, it was very similar to what was in the G3, and that had a very good camera.
Yeah, which was the IMX. I want to say 240.
Yeah, I don't know,
something like that. Is
some
Sony
sensor. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like this is hopefully it's a software thing, and all of Motorola's phones will be much better.
Yeah,
they need
hopefully.
it.
I think I'd say about the G at it's $200, right?
220 for
220.
Ooh, 220.
And 180, I think, for 3G.
Yeah, for the LTE one, I'd look at the Zenfone and I would have a hard time saying no because it's so much faster. I'm betting the screen is probably also better on the Zenfone. It might not be as bright, but I'm guessing the colors are going to be better. The Moto G's kind of had a weak screen typically, hasn't it?
It's been, I think, okay. I have one sitting over here, but it's not on. Okay, no, wait, it's no. The price difference is between the 8 and 16 gigabyte, 1 gig of RAM, 2 gig of RAM. I think they all have LTE now.
They all have LTE, so you can get a 1 gig version. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that the Moto G was really cool when it first came out, and now there's a lot more competition in that space. I think the Moto E is probably the more interesting budget phone from Motorola.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the way the new Moto G looks, though. I didn't know how I would feel about that strip on the back, but I kind of dig it. It looks funky.
I like it.
It's giving them a distinct branding that I feel like they've lacked a little bit. I feel like the Nexus 6 guided a lot of their branding, and obviously the Moto X last year. Both those phones have kind of become a corporate image.
Yeah, I mean, I might get a Moto G just to see what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought about it too. And honestly, if it had a better processor, I think I would be more likely to want to buy one and actually use it. But
yeah, I mean, we'll see.
The 410, the 410 is
I really like the style. I'm so damn tired of my Nexus 6 in so many ways. Even though I like it, I feel like the Moto X Style could be just kind of like the light, refreshing, somewhat flagship phone that especially with a good camera. That for me is important. It's not like I'm taking a ton of pictures with my phone, but when I'm taking a picture, I'm like, well, I want it to look half decent. Otherwise, I feel like I have to carry my camera if I'm going somewhere.
I'm really tempted to pick up the Moto X Style, but I kind of want to wait and see what the new Nexus stuff is going to be all about before I do that.
Yeah, I mean, I bought the last 2 Moto X's, and they've been, good phones, so I might maybe just buy a Style, just to see, if it's, as good as it could be. Hopefully Motorola figured out, the camera stuff. That was like a big pain point for the last.
When is that? It's released next month, right? Is it next month?
I think they just said fall.
Did they? Why did I think they said August? Okay, I thought they said August.
I thought it said September, isn't it?
Did they?
Who knows?
Maybe.
We clearly don't know.
But we're so you'll have to wait a while to get that one. But you will never in the U.S. get the third phone that Motorola announced. That's the Moto X Sport? Is that what they're calling it? Play.
And that has they published the U.S. price for it though, even though it's not coming to America, right? There was like a table with dollar prices or something.
Oh, did they? That's very odd.
I saw that somewhere.
It's such a weird phone though to me. It's just like I don't.
It's like it's a slightly more mid-range version of the Moto X.
It's like right dead center between the Moto G and the Moto X Style. I mean, it's a 615. It's a Snapdragon 615, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 1080p display. I mean, it's.
With that Snapdragon 615, I would not pay that much money for a Snapdragon 615 phone.
No,
it seems
neither
expensive.
And but it does have a bigger battery. It's got a bigger battery than the Moto X Style, which I think
needs a bigger battery for that chip.
People kind of pissed off
about that. Hungry sucker, man. Every phone I've used with the 615, they just tear through batteries when you actually use them. Idle battery life varies a lot by manufacturer, but the only one I've used that had really good battery life was the Alcatel One Touch Idle 3, which gets really good battery life for a phone of its class. It also has a big battery. I think it's 2,900 milliamp hours.
What's the one in the Play? It's like 36.
3630.
Yeah.
But the thing was about the Idle, it was like the Moto X Play, it's 1080p. All of the other 615 phones I've used are 720p, which says to me, and the Alcatel Idle is super slow. Like I can't handle how slow it is sometimes. And I think moving up to 1080p really gimps that chip. and you have to either throttle it or suffer through really high power usage. And I'm guessing Motorola went for the latter and just made the battery huge in order to get a full day of battery life out of it.
Yeah. So maybe you don't need to be bummed that it's not going to be available in the U.S.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry too much about that one. I think the Style, I would guess the Style is probably maybe the equivalent of $50 or $100 more, and I would guess that it's worth all 50 or 100 of those dollars.
Yeah, I would concur. They did not announce a new Moto 360 though, which several people were very upset about.
Kind of strange.
Yeah. It's not often that Motorola has the floor. I feel like the fact that they had an announcement and they brought all this stuff together, it seems like that this thing just wasn't ready. Otherwise, they would have announced it.
Yeah, so I mean, supposedly it passed through the FCC just like a week and a half ago. So I mean, it might maybe happen at some point soon. But
yeah, I wonder if Google's telling everybody holding phase until the next version of Android Wear is announced, and then they'll announce the watches when the new version of Wear comes out, which will have some new features. So maybe that's what everybody's waiting for. Maybe they say that you got the Huawei watch that got so delayed, and then you've got the next Moto 360. ZenWatch 2 came out, but LG hasn't announced one for 4 months. That's a long time for LG.
I feel like we should just call it the ZenWatch 1.5.
Oh yeah, the ZenWatch 2 that seems like kind of a misnomer. But granted, there's only so much you can do.
They didn't actually release it, did they? They just announced it.
Yeah, I guess it isn't out yet, is it?
Yeah, so
I forgot about that.
They haven't talked about it since that first time they showed it off. It's just disappeared.
Yeah, I'm guessing Google told everybody.
Watch.
Yeah, I'm guessing Google told everybody, listen, let's wait till the new version comes out, and then everybody can release the watches. Because there have been enough leaks about the new version of Android Wear, it sounds like they're planning something.
Yeah.
All right, well, we should probably take a moment to thank our sponsor, Simple.com, for sponsoring the show.
We should. You can check them out at simple.com/AndroidPolice. Simple is a better way to do online banking. It's a way to manage your money in a smart, simple way. You can use goals to save up money for things you want to buy or other goals you have financially in your life. You can use the Safe to Spend feature in tandem with goals to see how much money you have to spend safely before you pay all of your bills and save the money you want to for your goals. We on the podcast use it. Me and Cameron do. It's a pretty cool service. You get notifications every time you use your Simple debit card, which is actually kind of awesome, I think. And again, you can check them out at simple.com/AndroidPolice.
So check it out. In the meantime, you know what? That was probably a Safe to Spend notification or whatever right there, wasn't it?
Hope not.
All right, so we have some scary news. Scary news. In fact, so scary that it has fright right in its name, the Stagefright exploit, which was kind of revealed, I guess, this week. Pretty much affects all devices everywhere except, well, maybe some more than others. So I don't know. Personally, okay, so Stagefright is part of the Android operating system that handles media. And I feel like when they named it Stagefright, they were planning on having an exploit that would scare people.
I'm going to admit to being traveling when this happened. I know absolutely nothing about this exploit.
Well, I mean, you can probably just use what you know about how Android exploits are covered to sort of fill in the gaps. Exploit affects a lot of phones. Therefore, Sky is falling. Therefore, Android is horrible and broken.
Yeah, I read about this, but honestly, I can't remember anything that I read about it.
Well, so I mean, yeah. Well, like I said, it's a problem with the media handler stuff. I think the way that you exploit it is you send a malformed video file as an MMS, and you can you can gain remote access to a phone. But I mean, how likely is that to actually happen? But at any rate, I mean, it is a legitimate exploit, and Google is patching it as they usually do, and it'll filter down to other phones eventually. And I guess you can be upset about it if you want, but I don't think it's going to really affect anybody.
You know, I wonder how many phones have remote, security policies like Samsung phones do that can be implemented to essentially patch this on an independent basis without having to do a full OTA.
Yeah, I don't know, but so I think that the details of this exploit are not publicly available yet. It was reported to Google, and it's going to be demoed at a conference that is coming up.
Yeah,
so
the
it's
Black
not,
Hat conference.
so it's not happening like in the wild or anything. So I mean, at least whatever patches exist will be rolled out in time.
So
at least
the workaround, we'll call it a workaround. The workaround appears to be your messaging client. You set it so that MMS messages don't automatically download, and if you get a message from somebody and it prompts you to download it, you don't know who it is or don't trust them, don't download it. And the other thing is apparently it can be invoked through media through a web browser as well. So apparently Firefox doesn't have that vulnerability if you use the Firefox browser. So.
Okay, so it also looks like, the main scare point would be if somebody managed to remotely execute a root exploit, at which point they gained essentially full control of the device. But there's no mechanism described apart from, you could potentially, take advantage of a known root on a
so I mean, this
device.
This is just like remote code execution. It's
yeah,
not
see, that's what
it's not specifically a thing that gives them access to your phone.
Yeah, I mean, well, you might have access to the local app, it looks like, to an extent, but Google has said that, the sandboxing effect in Android should keep, unless it gains root access, it's not going to be able to do much.
Well, I believe it has access to the components of your phone that the messaging app has access to, so your microphone and your video camera. So your
yes, which, I mean, the number of ways those would actually be useful on a consistent basis to somebody breaking into a phone are few and far between.
But they could look at me, David.
Yeah, good for a rogue government, less so for a malicious Russian hacker looking to steal your credit card number.
Right. Unless you happen to write it on things and then point your camera at them.
Ah, that's true. I always point my camera at my credit card just to make sure it can still see it.
And post pictures of it on Twitter, of course. Why not?
Yes. But if you want to read more about the exploit, there is a lot of information out there. But Google's going to submit a patch to Nexus devices starting this next week here. So, as for every other phone, I'm sure that this will move quickly, as Heartbleed probably did, to get out to many, many phones. Manufacturers obviously are going to be responsible for a lot of the implementation there, and then carriers will be responsible for approving. But carriers are pretty good about fast tracking security patches.
Yep, that's one thing they actually put some effort towards. So at least we got that going for us.
Once in a while.
Yeah. So awesome. So moving on to more reminiscent things, less scary. Get your tinfoil hat things. So we're going to continue on with our celebrating 10 years of Android series, and this week we are moving on to the many versions and faces of Jelly Bean, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, which of course couldn't be bothered to be named differently. So we're just not going to bother to do separate segments for them. I mean, I think that's fair. No new name, no new segment.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, 4.1. That was the big one with Google Now.
Google Now, yeah. It wasn't the Now launcher because we talked about that last week. That was KitKat, but Now in and of itself, prior to 4.1 didn't exist. So that's brought a lot of great things to our lives. I think we can all agree.
Well, was that part of 4.1, or is it just that they introduced it alongside it?
I'm pretty sure that was part of 4.1 because you couldn't get it in ICS.
Okay, maybe the APIs in 4.1 allowed Now to work. Just had to target at the. Maybe because, that's what it was.
4.1 was the launch version for the original Nexus 7, I think, right?
Yes, it
and
was.
That was like their big Google Now demo device thing, because at the time they didn't have a new phone. They were still using the Galaxy Nexus, and there was all that confusion about the Verizon version, and it took forever to get a 4.1 update. And so they had just started selling that GSM one for like half price.
Yeah, I think Now was separate because the way we did it in the Getting to Know Androids, we didn't talk about Google Now in those. I think Android 4.1 just added the requisite pieces to make Google Now work, but as a separate product because it's always been the Search APK.
I think personally, I think The announcement of 4.2, I think, is much more interesting than the announcement of 4.1, because 4.2 was the one where they were going to have the big announcement in New York City, and then there was like a blizzard or something.
Yeah, Hurricane Sandy, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that's right, Hurricane Sandy, and then they canceled the announcement, and then just decided that they were going to do an interview with The Verge or something.
Yeah, they just like released the Nexus 4 and the Nexus 10 just randomly some morning. They're like, oh, here are these things, and that was like the first Nexus launch that was a complete disaster.
Didn't they do the announcement for Android in Hong Kong though?
That was the Galaxy Nexus.
That was the Galaxy Nexus.
Okay,
Yes.
my bad. I'm sorry. I'm getting my fucked up Nexus launches mixed up.
No, yeah, but remember, like the Nexus 4 was like that was where like so they announced it and it was suddenly live and everybody scrambled to buy it and they took all of the orders and then like 2 days later they started sending out emails to everybody like, sorry, we don't actually have the phone. It's going to be a few weeks.
Yeah, well, going back to 4.1, there were some things in 4.1 that I think we're talking about. Some things especially that we don't think about too much today. One of them being Project Butter, which was Google's big initiative to get everything running at 60 FPS, 60 hertz, as far as third-party apps went. And I don't know about you guys, but I noticed that quite a few of my apps don't run at 60 FPS.
Mine do. I only use apps that run at 60 frames per second.
I feel like Google, they said, I feel like when they meant 60 FPS, they meant 60 FPS should be like the headroom limit. And then if it goes slower in the middle, it's okay. It just has to go up to
I think
per second.
I think my Banks app runs at about 6 FPS.
At least there's a 6 in there. I mean, that's kind of close, right?
Right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, and I'm sure Ron would know the answer to this, how Project Butter has evolved, because, I mean, smoothness of animations was a big deal in Kit Kat and Lollipop again, too. They brought it back, but they didn't call it Project Butter anymore.
Is Project Svelte?
That was for RAM in Kit Kat.
Yeah, that was minimal resource processing.
Yeah,
That's right. All these ambiguous names.
Yeah. Project Butter was an interesting idea, and it had everybody thinking that we were going to get to this point where Android apps would behave like iOS apps, and that even if they didn't respond, they would still move at 60 frames per second, even if the operating system was chugging along. But that never really seemed to happen, and I guess I feel like they set this expectation that Android could never quite live up to in terms of smoothness.
I think there was a general improvement, though. I mean, sometimes it's hard to remember what phones were like on Ice Cream Sandwich, but I think that if we were to all kind of grab our Lollipop devices today and grab an ICS device and kind of compare them side by side, that there's huge differences, and obviously the technology has advanced quite a bit too, so you got to take that into account. But
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still going to be a huge improvement, looking between those two operating systems, but. The market, I don't think they should have marketed that one as much as they did. I feel like maybe they've made it sound a little more important than it was.
It wasn't that they didn't do good, it's that they didn't do as good as they made it sound like they did.
Yeah. The other big thing in 4.1 was also you've got expandable notifications with actions on them. So if you had 8 messages in Gmail, there's now an API that it could show a list of 8 messages. Instead of being like, you've got 8 messages, you've got to tap if you want to see them, which was obviously really annoying.
And that's something that every app does now, at least. That was adopted quite widely.
That was a big deal. We definitely Ron wrote a lot about that when we looked into that. It was because it was a cool thing. It's actually, to me, one of Android's biggest strengths has always been the notification center compared to Apple, who are just now catching up to that.
And honestly, I think the notification center on iOS is obnoxious.
Oh, it is. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's
the touch parts. Targets to clear notifications are tiny. I don't know how anybody.
Oh my God! I'm glad it's not just me. I'm like, I don't even have big.
They're tiny, and it's like, why on earth should I have to double tap?
Exactly, and you can't clear all. You have to clear them they're groups.
Each section is like, I would like to clear this section. I would like.
I don't check my iPad. I don't check my iPad very often, so I'm like, I spend the first 15 minutes clearing all the damn notifications. Oh, it drives me.
So Wade County in the chat brings up an excellent point about 4.2 that we were actually discussing before the show started, which was lock screen widgets. Google's sort of long-lost affair with
I miss lock screen widgets. I liked lock screen widgets, and I might be the only person that feels this way. but
I'm
don't
sure
think
you're
you are.
not.
I don't think you are. I kind of miss them too. I didn't use them heavily, but I did use them, and
I mean,
I liked the option of having it. And I don't know, compared to, I guess I like the lock screen notifications that we have now, but
yeah, I mean the Lollipop lock screen is great, but I miss having dash clock on my lock screen. I enjoyed that app very much.
the biggest thing I miss is full screen media controls from with Lollipop. Like Lollipop's lock screen is good, but that tiny little notification for media
Yeah.
controls drives me nuts.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So moving on to 4.3, which was admittedly a less interesting release by far. You did have something. You saw kind of a prototype of a set of features that would eventually be used in Android Wear, which was the notification service. So you were able to have apps listen for notifications, and then you could remotely clear them. And Ron at the time speculated that this could be used for wearables. And I'm guessing that's exactly how Android works now, using the notification listener service, so that you can cross-clear across devices.
Yes, I believe that is in fact how it works.
That's a fantastic feature. I forget about so many things that I take for granted now. That I'm like, oh yeah, there was a point in time when I had to live my life without this. How did I do that?
Oh, there was a
Sorry.
big public outrage one too. Was when everybody realized that Android 4.3 had Wi-Fi always in scanning mode, and you would have to go in and manually turn it off. And this drove some people crazy.
Yeah. Well, people will be upset about all kinds of things.
They will. It was interesting though.
Wasn't one of the Jelly Bean versions when they added quick settings? Was that 4.2?
Ooh, I don't know about that. That's a good question. It
I feel
might,
like it was.
yeah, I'm not sure. Although 4.3 was when they added app ops, and then obviously, which led to the taking away of app ops later.
Yeah. Was quick settings in Jelly Bean? I thought that was a KitKat feature.
I thought that was a KitKat feature as well.
I thought that was
I'm
like,
pretty sure because I remember Ron found it. We had like a leak of a graphic from before 4.2 was out, and it had like a big placeholder in it where the quick setting stuff was.
God, I could have sworn that was a KitKat leak too. You could be right.
We have an article. It says new Android 4.2.2 features: toggle from quick settings, better app download notifications.
4.2.
New sounds. All right, there we go.
4.2. Okay.
Okay, well, you win. You win this one.
Yeah, I win something. Okay, so like they fixed the way the toggles work now, but do you remember when they came out? They were all like half of them were backwards. Like you would press it and it would open the settings, but to toggle it you would long press, and it made no sense.
It did. I remember that. I remember that driving me crazy.
Yeah, those were weird days. Google definitely did not get that optimal on the first try.
Well, if I remember correctly, on the Nexus 10, like you swipe down on the right side, you got quick settings, and you swipe down on the left side to get.
That was before that was before the new tablet UI, wasn't it? Or can you still do that?
No, you can't do that. You can't do that on Lollipop. No, it was like that on KitKat and Jelly Bean.
Oh yeah,
so
KitKat.
When did they change? When did they change the tablet UI? Was that 4.2?
Jelly Bean.
Lollipop.
No,
Oh wait,
Jelly Bean.
you mean
When they stripped out the old hollow tablet UI.
and they made it more like a phone? Yeah, that was Jelly Bean. That was Jelly Bean.
Yeah, Jelly Bean. I think that's actually 4.1 because they demoed it on the Nexus 7, and everybody's like, "Where'd all the buttons go?"
Yep, and everybody's like, "Holy crap! This is just like
I
phones.
remember
I'm gonna
that.
hate this. Blah blah blah. This sucks." And now it's like, can you imagine going back to that old UI? Like,
I can't, but there are still people on the internet.
Oh man, there are some
up and down.
honeycomb warriors out there.
They will draw you diagrams of where your thumbs are to explain why the old UI was better.
you know what? Those people, they can just stay under the rocks in which they live, because I don't give a shit what they have to say.
Oh man, and then in Android 4.3, there was a reworked camera UI apparently. I don't remember that happening, but there was also Bluetooth Low Energy, which was a milestone because iOS had it before Android, I think.
Yeah, and none of the all those fitness trackers didn't support Android because
Yeah, that was back when the Nike Fuel Band was so hot. People were livid about that.
And you couldn't use a Fitbit unless you had a Samsung phone because they built in their own support for it.
Man, that's one thing that I will give to Samsung. They've always been the first to bring in stuff like that. They build it themselves, just like when
the audio latency stuff too.
Exactly,
right?
The audio latency stuff. Samsung Professional Audio. They were the first ones to do it. So as much as I like to hate on Samsung, I'm gonna take this time. You can document this because it might be the only time I ever say something good about Samsung. But yeah, I gotta give them credit for that.
I think it's because Samsung, unlike most other companies, is a profitable in this market, and so they can actually throw resources at other problems. They have enough people and say, okay, you guys can just work on this one problem. Whereas another company like HTC or LG is probably doing a lot more multitasking and well, that's not important enough for us to fix. That's on Google. Whereas Samsung, being so huge, they're really concerned with customer retention and keeping to grow that market share, and they've got the money to invest back in doing that. So yeah, Samsung gets a lot of crap, but they do fix a lot of things in Android, or at least try to.
I like to think about Samsung's hugeness like this. If they really want to work on something, they can always pull somebody off of the shipbuilding department.
They call that TouchWiz engineers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be clear, that it's completely different companies, sub-companies within Samsung. They don't really do that, but it just kind of illustrates. Yeah.
You know what else changed in 4.3? That's when they merged volume and notifications. Volume, ringtone and notification volumes.
Oh man, I remember that, and people did not like that.
Went ape shit over that.
People get so upset about this, the weirdest things, and then I think almost everybody forgets about it by the next version. I don't think people complain about that anymore.
I don't think so either. But I'll tell you what, I'd still kind of like to have that. I still kind of miss it when I think about it. I don't think about it often, but when I do, I kind of miss it.
How many phone calls do you take, though? It's anytime my phone makes a noise, it's a notification. I'll get the one phone call a day occasionally.
Well, I get more phone calls than I used to, just various life-related
business calls.
Yeah, people have to call me about. So
my phone doesn't make sound ever. I have since I got an Android Wear Watch. Literally, my phone doesn't make a peep unless I'm watching a YouTube video. What's that?
You have it set in the Android Wear app to mute your notifications.
Yeah, and I love it.
I've thought about it, but sometimes I get paranoid. What if I don't feel a buzz?
Yeah, I do that sometimes, but every now and then my watch will do something weird where it says that it's connected, but the Wear app on the phone has done some sort of weird crashy thing, and it's not actually connected.
That happens.
Yep.
It's kind of happens.
It's like going out without underwear. It's risky.
It's usually fine, but when it goes wrong, it goes real wrong.
That is such a great analogy you just made. That is perfect.
It's a surprisingly good analogy for a lot of things.
I'm going to have to keep that one in mind, for future reference.
And then I guess, what else can we say about Jelly Bean? Other than the fact that there were 3 Jelly Beans, which was this strange anomaly that happened. The only other time that happened was Eclair, but basically the other Eclair didn't even exist long enough to matter.
It did.
Well, it happened with Honeycomb. Come on now.
Oh, no, it happened with Honeycomb, yes. Okay, once. Or wait, no, twice. There was 3.2, wasn't there?
3.2, yeah.
Well, we try to forget about that.
Yeah, I did. There was 3.2.
Yeah, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Honeycomb is in a couple of weeks.
It is, and we're gonna have some good times. I'm gonna get some screenshots. I'm gonna bust out my old
times with that
Drive review. Oh man.
Oh, so we're not gonna do what Google did and forget Honeycomb ever existed?
Oh hell no!
I remember. Okay, we can't talk about it. We're gonna ruin it. We still got ice cream sandwich to do.
We still
as much as we all look forward just to being like Honeycomb.
Oh man. Yeah.
Okay.
This has been fun.
Let's maybe continue on to
Samsung.
I know we were just making fun of Samsung, but now we can talk about them for real.
Now, Cameron said something nice about Samsung.
I did, and it won't happen again. So just keep that shit in mind. That was it.
So Cam, do you want to intro this next topic by saying, "So stupid ass Samsung is"?
So yeah,
dummies at Samsung.
just so we make sure that I still hate Samsung. It looks like on August 13th they're going to announce some more bullshit.
That may be the most accurate lead up to a Samsung announcement anybody has ever said.
It's going to be bullshit with a stylus.
Like I can just imagine the commercial. Hey, did you hear Samsung's holding an event on August 13th? What are they going to do? I hear they're going to announce some new bullshit. Oh man, but really, it's going to be the Note 5 and S6 Edge Plus, which the S6 Edge Plus is a Note 5 without a stylus and with an S6 Edge's screen, which will be interesting. I'm sure they're going to sell a ton of them.
They are absolutely going to sell a ton of them, an absolute ton of them. And the Note 5 is probably not going to do very well.
Yeah, I feel like the Note 5 is going to take a real hit.
Several times already.
I am predicting that this is going to be either the last note or the second to last note. They're going to stop doing that.
Yeah,
I bet it'll be the second to last. Yeah, I bet they'll do a Note 6.
There will get, we already discussed this and already got an email from somebody who used the stylus on their Note after we discussed this on the podcast. And of course, there will be that. If Samsung does that, there will be, little riots in the internet. Our Android will explode. I'm guessing there's an R Galaxy Bones or something that will go completely.
It'd be okay if the Android subreddit exploded. It would be, sad for the people that were caught in the explosion, but I think we would all come out of it better off.
I think so as well. But the Note 5, so what we know at this point, and we've already gone over this on the show before, but we're getting so close now, and there have been so many leaks. Note 5's got a Exynos chipset. Supposedly it's going to be a fully integrated chipset, so it'll be more power efficient and a little more packaging friendly. Maybe we'll get some new chipset features in there. I don't know, though. Presumably it's going to be on all four carriers here in the U.S. because it always is, and it's going to have a stylus. And then the S6 Edge Plus, I'm guessing, I wonder what they're going to charge for each of them. That's something we haven't discussed. I wonder if the S6 Edge Plus will have a premium.
The Note already. The Note is already
pretty high.
But they charged extra for the Note Edge,
right?
Because that was $400 on AT&T, right?
Yeah, I don't think they will. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, they're using a cheaper chipset in the S6 Edge Plus, but the cost of that screen has got to be the hugest part of the build.
Yeah.
But they're probably not throwing the digitizer on there though, so that's
there's I wonder how much that really costs them to do.
I don't know.
I'm guessing something, but I'm gonna guess the curved display is easily the most expensive component that's going to go into either of these phones, because Samsung has already said they're expensive to make and they're difficult to make.
Yeah, maybe a little more. I don't expect it to be...
Maybe like $300 and $350 for 2-year pricing. Not that anybody 2-year prices in America anymore, at least not, people...
Yeah, whenever I think price now, I only think of, full retail.
Yeah, I guess, I probably, the last Note retailed for, I thought, $700?
That's what I was thinking, too.
It's weird from the outside looking in, because if you think about it, our prices went up from $300 to $800 in just, a year, and nobody seems to be too upset about it.
No,
Well, people are financing. This wealth of readily available consumer credit in America has made this a lot easier for carriers to do. And I personally prefer it because you don't have to worry about essentially getting penalized if you want to break your agreement. You just have to pay off your debt. The carriers are obviously getting a good deal out of this because they have to deal with delinquents, but other than that, they're selling a phone at very little cost to them. I'm sure the interest is microscopic for a multi-billion-dollar company like AT&T or Verizon.
Yeah, I prefer this method too.
What's interest when you're paying them $100 for service, anyways?
Exactly. It's essentially free money, is the way I look at it. Granted, you're paying out the ass for service. Which sucks, but at least on the phone you're getting that benefit of them wanting you to be a subscriber.
Or if you're paying extra for one of those early upgrade things that...
Yes, you can do that too and trade in your phone, which I find phone leasing, I'm not sure why it's despicable, but I'm going to get there.
The thing is, it hasn't really been a thing long enough for us to really see the ill effects, but I feel like there are going to be a lot of people who they get to the end of a 2-year term and they're going to think they own their phone, and they do not own that phone. Yeah,
I think that's definitely going to be an issue, and you're going to have a lot of people who break them too and stuff. With T-Mobile, they force you to get the insurance, but AT&T and Verizon and Sprint, don't. So if you break it, you didn't buy it, and you also can't use it after 2 years, which would suck.
I think the T-Mobile Jump on Demand thing doesn't require insurance, but they strongly recommend it. And then
I
they
thought
have,
it was included in the Jump month-to-month fee.
I think it's on Jump, but not Jump on Demand.
Oh, okay. I haven't read too much
yeah.
about Jump on Demand. Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't really read too much about that one.
That's
but yeah,
like
the Note.
straight up lease.
Going back to the Note here, I mean, yeah, I've got to think that the S6 Edge Plus, after they saw how well the S6 Edge did, that the Plus is gonna overshadow the Note 5 substantially.
That's gonna be their iPhone 6 Plus equivalent.
I think
Yep.
so.
Yep.
Yeah. It's and it's going to be big and shiny. They're going to probably offer it in the same color, so it's going to be like you're going to offer like in that bright gold. It's like the ultimate anti-iPhone 6 Plus.
Like people are going to be like, yep, going to get that super shiny giant gold phone. With that thing, and it's going to be so big they're going to drop it all the time.
I want somebody to develop a necklace for the S6 Edge Plus, where the phone just hangs upside down and you just grab it.
Oh my God! I might actually want one if that were the case.
Let's kickstart that right now.
I was going to say let's call Spigen, but do that too.
Don't give the idea away, jeez.
I mean, I'm interested in how the Snapdragon 808 does. I bet the 808 is a little more efficient. Maybe it'll have some wicked battery life, but maybe not.
Wicked battery life, which would definitely be an improvement from the S6. So.
It would. The S6's battery life is decidedly wicked in the not northeasterner sense.
All right. Well, we have an email. Let's talk about our email. So Dominic emailed in. He says, "Hi, I'm on Android 5.1.1 on my N5, but I had the same issue on my 5.1. My problem is that when I'm at home and I'm connected to my Wi-Fi, my phone is laying down for a while. It's disconnecting from my Wi-Fi and it's using my GSM data. It's annoying because I'm a big user of Tasker and have a lot of tasks that are triggered when I'm connected to a specific Wi-Fi and I don't have any battery saving options. Do you have any suggestions for how to resolve this problem?"
So I'm just going to assume that, I don't know, hopefully you have gone into the advanced Wi-Fi settings and changed keep Wi-Fi on during sleep to always.
Yeah, that was going to be my first suggestion.
I can't think of any other reason. So, I don't know if you watched, but yeah.
Unless you've got a Tasker profile that's turning it off.
Yeah, your little overflow menu. If you look here, the overflow menu, you can go to...
If you were watching a video, you could see that.
If you were watching, that's what I said. I don't know if they're watching or whatever, but there's an option. Keep Wi-Fi on during sleep. Always.
Does stock Android have the option to automatically avoid poor Wi-Fi connections, or is that
It does. That is a stock Android feature.
So you should check that too. It might be that your home Wi-Fi is somehow intermittent.
I would disable that. I actually disable that option on all my phones because I find it's too aggressive.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it's gone. I don't see it now.
Really?
It's still on my S6.
Well, I'm looking on my Nexus.
I think Samsung has a Samsung-specific implementation of that.
I don't see that. Network notifications, scanning always, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
No
I guess it's
gone.
gone.
So maybe not. Maybe not.
Okay, disregard, I guess.
So anyway, check that option. That is the most likely. That's what I assume is the culprit. Wade County says always is the default, which always is the default, but weird shit happens. It could have gotten changed somehow. An app could have tweaked it. Who knows what kind of? Because I know that has happened before. So anyway, check the overflow menu.
So I think he's implying that it only happens on his home Wi-Fi. So does it not happen on other Wi-Fi hotspots? It might just be something
idle.
I'd be interested to know what Wi-Fi you're using. Like if you've got one of those Wi-Fi that supports both 5 gigahertz and 2.4, and you're running on the 5, maybe try 2.4.
Just like try.
5 is very unreliable.
Just try resetting the whole router to factory defaults. It won't hurt anything. It doesn't take long to set that stuff back up, but just to make sure. If you've got another router lying around or you're around another Wi-Fi network, is it happening on other networks?
Yeah, there's so many ways this could be breaking. It's possible. So it could be your router. It could be a setting in the phone. It could be.
He's probably listening to this like, I've done all those things, guys.
Yeah, probably.
Well, if that's the case, then Who the hell?
Maybe your phone's broken. Then maybe
Yes.
that is what's
I mean,
happening there.
it might be time for you to upgrade your Nexus 5.
You know what I would ask is, when's the last time you did a factory reset on your phone? Unfortunately, that is something that does cure Android problems occasionally.
Yeah, phone slow for no apparent reason. I reset it. It's probably going to be better.
Yep. As unenticing an option as that is for most people, especially if you've got a lot of local SMSs and stuff.
After Lollipop, it's not as bad. Now that
you still do lose the local stuff, though. I mean, well, I guess you can choose to keep that stuff, but that maybe it's related to the problem. So I always feel weird if I don't erase the personal data.
I do too. I feel like I'm doing like a half-ass sort of reset.
Well, when you're doing the factory reset, you're doing it because it gets rid of everything because you don't know the thing to get rid of.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's almost like if I knew the thing to get rid of, I would have just gotten rid of that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was our. I thought we had another email this week.
We did. We had an emailer asking if we were going to review the new line of Asus tablets, and yes, we are.
We will probably whenever Asus gets around to
yes,
one.
The 4 GB one that everybody obviously is most enamored with isn't quite out yet, but it should be soon, I think, and Asus will send us one to review. It could actually be pretty good too. That Intel chipset is fast, and with 4 gigs of RAM, I'm going to imagine it moves along pretty quickly.
So. All right, well, if you guys have any questions you'd like for us to answer on the show, you can get a hold of us at podcast@androidpolice.com. You should also keep your eyes peeled at androidpolice.com/contest for all the various giveaways and the likes that we've got going on at any given point in time. You can give us a call also to hear your voice on the show, 530-HELLO-AP. That's 530-435-5627. Also send your feedback along to us at Twitter at Android Police and on Google Plus and Facebook.
And we'd like to thank Simple for sponsoring the podcast again this week, and you can check them out at simple.com/AndroidPolice.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. That's going to wrap up the show for this week.
All right. Okay.
Word.
So next week we are doing ice cream sandwich, which I will actually prepare for next time. I got wrapped up in that OnePlus editorial, and then
speaking of, somebody reddited Artem's Google Plus post about that. It is currently number 4 on the Android subreddit.
Oh snap!
The response is not positive for OnePlus.
Is it not?
No.
Good.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, well, we're going to put this in the complete show. So only a few people, well, no, it's on YouTube. We can stop broadcasting.